Jennifer Rubin, liberal America's favorite alleged conservative and alleged Republican. Jennifer Rubin is a nut job. She's not a conservative. She's not a Republican, in my view. In my view, she's unbalanced. And she's narcissistic. Jennifer Rubin is about Jennifer Rubin. And the reason why she's always getting a column in the Washington Post is because she says exactly what the left would like her to say about who she alleges her own party is. This week, she wrote an article trying to get the government to get stricter about mandatory vaccines. I pulled a lot of quotes here. Let's get to them. First one. You have to hand it to French President Emmanuel Macron. He refuses to allow defiant anti-vaxxers to put his country at risk for widespread illnesses and death from the Delta variant of the coronavirus. Folks, you all know right now the big scary Delta. What do you think is going to happen after Delta's gone? We're going to have the next one. Epsilon? Back to Jennifer Rubin. His approach of ordering health workers to get vaccinated by September 15th and telling the rest of the French population that they will be denied access to most indoor public venues if they're unvaccinated or without a negative test has prompted other countries, including Italy, to follow suit, even as it has stirred pockets of deep resistance, the New York Times reports. So she's setting us up here. Emmanuel Macron is a bold leader. You know, in France, they don't want you to go inside bars, cultural venues. I think grocery stores are even on the list if you're unvaccinated. You don't find this scary? Huh? Next one from Ms. Rubin. The results were stunning. Sure, some Frenchmen protested, but 3.7 million booked vaccine appointments in the first week after Macron's announcement and, quote, a record nearly 900,000 vaccinations in a single day on July 19th, end quote. Macron is saving lives and helping to restore his country's economy and mental health. Yeah. She lives in opposite land. Saving lives and restoring mental health with mandatory vaccinations and barring people from entering businesses that they need to actually sustain their lives if they refuse to take this vaccine. That's wonderful, isn't it? What more does she want? Meanwhile, in the United States, we are still pleading with the unpersuadables to stop listening to anti-vaccination cranks and risking their own lives and others around them, e.g. children not old enough to get the vaccine, those vulnerable to breakthrough infections. Polling suggests outreach will not get us far. Oh, this makes me so angry. Anti-vaccination cranks. For these people, for people like Jennifer Rubin, and I'm sorry, for most people on the left today, I hear this from acquaintances and friends with whom I have not discussed my views. I hear how they talk. Normal people are saying this. This isn't a few people on the left. This is the average everyday person on the left. Calling people who have questions about the vaccine or who don't think that the risk-benefit analysis works out in favor of getting the vaccine, we are anti-vaxxers now. We're cranks to these people. I have every single vaccination in my body that you have on the normal U.S. schedule of vaccinations. All of them, except this one. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a crank. And neither are any of the other people I know who are worried about this particular vaccine or who don't believe that the risk-benefit analysis comes out in favor of them getting the vaccine. But we're cranks. And we're unpersuadables. So she says polling outreach won't get us very far. Well, you know where that's going, don't you? She talks about a poll of all the people who haven't yet been vaccinated. Of the unvaccinated in a recent poll, 35% said they probably won't get it, and 45% said they definitely won't. We need to come to grips with the most recalcitrant 45% of the unvaccinated and to start showing that there are consequences to their self-destructive behavior. And she put in some parentheses, apart from illness and death. Consequences for their self-destructive behavior. Self-destructive or other destructive, Jennifer? What's the accusation? We're going to punish people now because they don't take care of themselves well enough? No. Well, yes, for her, yes. This is somebody who likes control. Jennifer Rubin's goal is control. She wants to be in the catbird seat. She wants to be giving orders. She wants to be seen as on the team with the CDC and the White House and anybody else who wants to enact an undue level of government and public health control over the actions of the population. That's what she wants. She wants She's recommending vaccine passports for all federal property and transportation, public schools, kids, staff. That's what she thinks is a good idea. Whew. Next quote. Listen to this carefully. No one has a right to work in a way that places them at risk to others or themselves. Really? No one has a right to work in a way that places them at risk to others or themselves. Nobody's allowed to work on guy wires. Nobody's allowed to climb poles and replace telephone wires. Nobody can go down into cramped sewer spaces. No one can mine. I mean, it's just, no. Don't tell me. Obviously, she didn't mean that. If she didn't mean that, she shouldn't have said it. She tells on herself. This is ridiculous. And she goes on. Conservatives of all people should realize private businesses have the right to run their operations as they see fit. Government should protect the private sector when it takes socially responsible actions. She doesn't mean what she's saying. Conservatives of all people should realize private businesses have the right to run their operations as they see fit. She's saying that she wants the government to protect private businesses who are getting pushback if that private business requires their workers or their customers to get a vaccine, because people are starting to say, is this legal? Are we really going to allow businesses to fire staff if they don't get vaccinated? Conservatives should know that government should protect those kinds of businesses, and they should have a right to run their operations as they see fit. But she is not allowing that for those who say we're not going to require vaccines. She does not believe that that is a legitimate decision for private business to make. She just phoned this in. I mean, she's not great to begin with, but this is really sloppy. Couple more. Some politicians are figuring it out. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio has begun to call on private businesses to require workers to be vaccinated and signaled that he would introduce similar measures for municipal employees. He should be applauded. Why isn't New York Governor Andrew D. Cuomo doing the same? But Jennifer, I thought private businesses have the right to run their operations as they see fit. Which is it? She leaves with this kicker. We should praise red state governors such as Alabama's Republican Governor Kay Ivey for expressing exasperation with the mass of her residents who won't get vaccinated, and then encourage her to mandate vaccinations at state facilities and, at the very least, urge Alabama employers to require their workers to get vaccinated. This is dangerously close to actually fascism, this cooperation and collusion between private business and government. That's what fascism is. It's getting dangerously close. And people like Jennifer Rubin are allowed to say this stuff. And when people like me point out the obvious, we are told that we're crazy. We are the ones who are speaking dangerous words. We are lunatics for using the word fascism. No, we're not. Jennifer Rubin and people like her want the government to harangue and cajole private businesses into punishing their employees and their customers who will not be vaccinated. That's what she wants. She does not think that private businesses should have a right to run their operations as they see fit. She just talks out of both sides of her mouth. For more conversation on the dark and disordered psychology that shapes today's cultural and political left, subscribe to our weekly audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and virtually anywhere else you get your podcasts. Let's learn to recognize these dynamics and call them what they are. Subscribe to Disaffected to learn how to break the spell.